What I found in all of those experts and CEOs is that they don't really know where this is going. AI is currently starting to take over a lot of industries. Microsoft, Google, Amazon, they're laying people off. Why am I talking about containment? Because AI is growing, AI is getting bigger, is getting more sophisticated, and we might reach to the point where human beings are going to lose control over the AI, and that is possibly the worst kind of scenario. Affect your life of your family, and your kids in the future. I've done a pretty good research on artificial intelligence. I've watched tons of materials, interviews, podcasts with all of those big AI CEOs and specialists and experts, and I've managed to gather some interesting data on what they know about the AI, the worries, the issues that they have with the AI, possible threats for humanity. And what I found in all of those experts and CEOs is that they don't really know where this is going. They don't really know how it's going to um, affect us in the future. They know for the fact that your jobs will be affected, lives of your kids will be affected in the future. And when it comes to your employment, this is pretty good, big thing for everyone, right? Whatever we do, whatever profession we have, whatever skills we've gained over the years, the hard work, the time that we've put in to learn all those things to be able to be as best version of ourselves in our field is being currently threatened by the artificial intelligence. And this is what they all are saying. We live in a digital um, world um, where everything is powered by the internet, everything is online, our social lives, our bank details, our pictures from holidays, everything is run by the internet in school, at work, in our cars. Basically everywhere. We cannot really live anymore without the access to the internet. Everything is digital, right? And the same thing is going to be with the AI. Just like the internet back in the days came into our lives and people were saying that it's dangerous, that it might cause a lot of harm. Obviously they were right, because internet is not all good, it's not all great. There's a lot of threats, there's a lot of issues, but we adjusted to it. We live in those times where we don't really have any other choice than to adjust and learn and practice um, on the tools that we have to help us become better people and better versions of ourselves. And artificial intelligence is here as well, and it's doing exactly the same thing, only I think it's going to be on a much bigger scale. AI is currently starting to take over a lot of industries. Microsoft, Google, Amazon, they're laying people off at the moment because they're replacing them with the AI. Even IT specialists who've worked very hard on gaining those skills to be able to code, to be able to build all those digital applications and websites and such. They are being laid off because AI is more efficient, it's cheaper, it can work 24/7 and all of those. And obviously this is a great thing for entrepreneurs where they, can scale up their businesses for less money. The crucial thing is to try to imagine how the AI is going to affect your work, your life. But in order to do that, we have to do our research. We have to do our homework. We have to go out there into the internet and actually find out what the AI is. I know for the fact that there's still a lot of people that think of artificial intelligence as just a chatbot, right? They just go into ChatGPT, they ask it a question, they receive a brilliant answer within a few seconds, from small tiny little things like reminders of shopping lists and stuff like that to building business plans and writing books, that kind of stuff. And all those things are great until it's going to be so sophisticated and so powerful and so smart that it might actually take over our jobs. And if that's what's going to happen, there's going to be a lot of problems and issues with those people that don't really want this to happen because it's not fair, right? You've worked hard for all your life to be able to obtain those skills. Maybe you had your dreams, you wanted to achieve something in life. That's why you've worked so hard. You've spent all that money. You went to college and all of that. But the problem is that it doesn't work because AI is here, and it's going to affect the fact that you worked for all those years, and it doesn't care that you did. It's just here, and it's inevitable, and it's here, and it's not going to disappear, and we're going to have to adjust to it, just like we had to do with the internet back in the days. Some people might think it's not, it's not okay, or maybe some people will say that, it's nothing big, like it's, artificial intelligence. It's not, it's nothing serious. It's great that we have that kind of tool that we can ask a question and it gives us an answer to some kind of problem or challenge that we have in life or in the workplace or whatever. It's so much more than that. And until you realize it, you won't be able to find yourself in that place where future you is out there. You won't be able to picture yourself in the future because you might have a picture of yourself in the future and what you're going to do. You might think that nothing's going to change. You might be working the same job, or you might be climbing that corporate ladder, and you'll be doing great, and you will have great achievements. But that's not the case, unfortunately. There's this tool called artificial intelligence, and it's going to affect your job. Maybe a bigger way, maybe in a smaller way. That's why all those experts, they keep saying that the best thing to do is to become a plumber, because AI, most likely for another maybe 20 to 30 years, won't be able to lay its digital hands on those kind of professions like electrician as well. Um, all of those people who work in technology are being laid off. All those people that work in customer service are being laid off. And it's going to affect a lot of people, a lot of professions, whether you're a teacher, engineer, you work in transport, you work in retail, you're a dentist. It doesn't matter what you do, the AI is going to be there, just like the internet is here right now. We use it for our benefits. In everyday life, the AI is going to be here as well. Sam Altman, he's the CEO of OpenAI, and he said that we need more regulations. That is the biggest problem and the biggest issue with the AI at the moment is containment. That's the word that is going to be repeated by me probably a couple of times while I'm talking to you. And why am I talking about containment? Because AI is growing. AI is getting bigger. AI is getting more sophisticated, and we might reach to the point where human beings are going to lose control over the AI, and that is possibly the worst kind of scenario that we can possibly think of. And unfortunately, this is the reality. It might get out of hands because it might, become some sort of sentient being in the digital world out there. It might start to think for itself. And all those science fiction films that we've watched years ago, they might actually become true. We live in those times. So if you still think that AI is not a problem for our generation, it's probably our grandchildren that's going to have to worry about that. Wrong. It's here, and it will be here, and it's not going to disappear, and it's just going to get more powerful and powerful. So we need to make sure that we as human beings, as citizens of this planet, we need to make sure that those new species that we've created, basically, who are immortal, by the way, and this is what a Nobel Prize winner, Geoffrey Hinton, a godfather of AI, said. He's a man who started to work on artificial intelligence years and years ago. Very smart man. He's going around all over the TV shows and all over the internet and podcasts saying how dangerous AI is, and how much issues and problems, and how much dangerous it is for us as human beings. And his analogy is pretty simple. I'm going to put it in a few words. He envisioned, or he pictured AI to a host when he was talking to him, that for now AI is like a tiger cup. Okay, it's very small. It's not very dangerous right now. It's nice and cute, and we can play around with it. But it's growing and it's getting bigger. And once it reaches those big size of a big tiger, we need to make sure that it's not going to eat us. And the patterns show that it possibly can. unfortunately. So our job is to make sure that this is not going to happen. And to make sure that this is not going to happen, we need to make sure that we have some kind of plan in place. We need to be able to come up with some kind of plan where there's some kind of committee or some kind of entity, a group of people, preferably internationally, who will be able to say, okay, right, we have this amazing tool called artificial intelligence, and we need to make sure that it's not going to get out of hand. We need to make sure that it works for the good of humankind and not against people, just so there's no mutiny on board at some stage, and we're going to wake up and realize that we don't really have any control over it. It starts to think for itself, and this is another thing that Eric Schmidt, ex-CEO of Google, said. He said that it's very dangerous and it can get out of hands, and the worst thing that can happen is if the AI starts to come up with its own language, and that's the worst kind of thing that could happen, because if the AI is going to start coming up with its own language and talk to each other, then we won't know what it's talking about, and that's probably the last thing that we want. So yeah, there's a lot of threats like viruses and military use that gets out of hand, and it might cause a lot of issues and problems, and a lot of violence um, between different nations. And this is what's already happening. China and USA, they're in this Cold War right now where they just fight over who's going to have more power, who's going to create better military toys, who's going to implement better AI into them. And they already built drones and rockets and all that military equipment, which is equipped with AI. Once it receives some kind of command, it will do it. It doesn't matter. You can't switch it off. It's not going to be online. Even if you try to destroy the hardware, it's not going to be affected. And this is very interesting and a bit scary to think that, we as human beings, we might not get along and actually start hurting each other, because the history shows that we're not very agreeable species, right? And there is a lot of greed, and there's a lot of money involved in all of this. And I'm not saying that human beings are all bad and all greedy. I'm not saying that. I'm just saying that this is the history, and history has shown that we don't really tend to get along on a lot of occasions when it comes to politics, when it comes to social standards and all of that. But I think that on this particular issue, this problem with artificial intelligence, I think we need to get along. But who am I to talk, right? Like I'm just talking here, and it's not that I'm probably right, or maybe I am. I don't know. I have no idea. There's a lot of things that I don't know. All those big experts, they have no idea what is going to happen now, how our lives going to be affected. They know for the fact that AI is going to be in your lives at some stage. So if you haven't come across AI, you will at some stage, for sure. And that's why it's so important, and that's what I'm trying to do. I'm just trying to raise awareness to make sure that you do your homework, you do your own research. There's many other tools which are built to help human beings in their problems and challenges, but there's also a dark side of it, where you have all you need is a bad person with a bad intent. And this is what Eric Schmidt, ex-CEO of Google, said as well, that all you need is one person with a bad intent to cause a lot of problems, a lot of issues, a lot of harm to a lot of other people. Probably, one of those examples could be, a man or some kind of person that uses AI to, I don't know, create a virus, for example. And that virus is being spread around 10 different hospitals in the county or in the country. And because we live in a digital world, everything's being run by an internet, and then all the database is saved on the computers, and everything's linked together. Once you upload that kind of virus, and for if the AI is going to be sophisticated enough, can overrun the firewall, just get in there and just shut everything down. You're not able to tell what kind of medications you need to give to your patient. You don't know how to treat the person. You don't know what's happening to all your equipment is gone, and it might cause a lot of problems, a lot of harm to a lot of innocent people. So just like the internet back in the days, people were saying that it's bad, it's nothing good. Now we live with the internet, and it's everywhere in our cars and phones and PCs, literally everywhere. And artificial intelligence is here as well too, and phones and cars and PCs everywhere, and it's backed up. Every kind of software is kind of backed up with the AI. There was this great analogy that one of the speakers said. I can't remember who it was, but he gave this great analogy about um, two generals. Basically, they command two armies against each other, and one general is backed up by the AI, and the other one is not. Well, guess who's going to win? Of course, this one, right? Because there is that intelligence and this knowledge and speed and processing power to the advantage of that general. He's going to be able to destroy the other army who's not supported by the AI. And the same thing is going to be happening with scammers, with, and this is already happening where someone is trying to scam you, right? Usually for money, where the AI can copy a voice of your child, for example, and will call you in the middle of the night saying that, Mom, Dad, I need money, I'm lost, or something like that happened, and please send me money. And obviously, because you're a loving parent, you will probably do everything that you can to help your child. Um, and it's only one sort of kind of example, but I'm sure there can be many others where the AI is used for bad intent to harm people. Altman said that we need more regulations, and he said that years ago. He said that we need more regulations, and the question is, who's going to be responsible for those regulations? I have no idea. I don't know what's going to happen. But again, I think that we need to get on together and, bring some kind of group of people or some kind of organization or some kind of company and be able to control AI on some kind of higher level, be able to contain it. And this is what Mustafa Suleyman said, the CEO of Microsoft AI. His biggest concern is the containment. He was very optimistic, and I think the best thing that he said about the advantages that we can get from AI was he said that we can technically harness the power of the sun, and if we do, we will be able to basically have this huge battery just hanging in the sky, infinite power, and we'll be able to use that power to our advantage, and all the energy costs will go down. And if they do, it would be great for humanity because everything is going to be so much cheaper. And he thinks that with the help of AI, we can achieve that goal. I think so too. Only 10 years ago, the AI was just, in development, and they were trying to, get AI to create a single number and change the font, and it was struggling to do that. We're like, we're decade later, and it can do so many incredible things. Which one of them is actually AI agents, and this is what I'm going to talk about in a few minutes as well. But um, who knows where we're going to be in another 10 years? The experts say that we are heading towards times where from 5 to 10 years, which is another decade, we can expect super intelligence. And if that's happening, well, I don't know, what the AI will be capable of. But if this is going to happen, then we're going to have a lot of concerns about what it can do. Because again, if it can come up with its own language, if it can realize, become sentient, and just say that, human beings, well, what are you good for, right? Who knows what it's going to do? We've moved from industrial age to a digital age, and the thing is that we had a time to adjust before, whether we moved from horses to cars, from phones stuck to the wall to mobile phones. We had a time to adjust. There's many years where people had time to get familiar with those new technologies, where with the AI, it's so fast and so rapid that it might be hard for a lot of people to be able to get our heads around them. I'm sure there's a lot of people that just don't think that this is something serious, and they don't really consider this as a threat, or they don't really see any need to be able to get involved with artificial intelligence. But it is going to happen. It is here, unfortunately. Fortunately and unfortunately, I suppose. The AI currently is not so powerful and so huge that it can cause a harm on a global scale. But the patterns show that it can. That's why containment is so powerful. So going back to what Mustafa Suleyman said about harnessing the power of the sun, which is a great thing and a great advancement for human beings, there's also concern that it can get out of hands and we might lose control. So the containment is the biggest thing One of the chapters in his book actually says that containment must be possible. And that one word, must, doesn't say that it is contained or it will be contained. It says that it must be contained, which means that they don't really know how to make it safe. And we want safe as human beings, right? We want peace. We want to feel safe. We want to feel secure. Um, this is not very safe, right? We've created the entire new species where they're so powerful, so smart, and so fast in processing all those informations and data that we see a lot of potentials in it, but we see a lot of threats in it. And we need to find that this sort of golden point where we as human beings can have control, because we've moved from using muscle to machinery, and um, now we've moved from intelligence to AI. So the only thing that we really have left is control, and that's the only thing that we have left right now. So we need to make sure that we're gonna stay with our foot on AI's neck, and we're just gonna have that control, and we'll be able to keep our foot down and basically just say, you need to do what we tell you to do. There's no sort of a chance for you to go and mute and do whatever you want. That is very important, and it's very important for future generations, but it's also very important for us right now to be able to adjust to it, learn from it, and be able to direct our kids, our grandchildren towards that new age of artificial intelligence. There is possibility that we are heading towards dystopian times. Whether this is going to happen, I don't know. I hopefully not. I hope, fingers crossed, that it's never going to happen. There's a small chance for that, probably right now, until we find a way to secure it and be able to say that this is where the AI development stops, or we'd be able to slow it down to some kind of level. We won't really know what's going to happen. And how fast it's going to happen. And this is bringing us to another interesting thing about AI is the AI agents, right? It's a fairly new thing, maybe not fairly new, but it's here for a while. And AI agents are basically, it's an artificial tool, a software that you can use on your daily basis, which is actually what is replacing all of those skilled IT technicians and coders and agents. They can build software in a few minutes. They use all a bunch of code. They can build software for you. They can build a website for you. They can manage your social media. They can even order food for you once you give it access to your bank details. You can tell it to order you food from McDonald's, and in another 30 minutes, a delivery man is going to knock on your door and be like, yeah, there you go. Yeah, here's your food. And you haven't done anything. You just typed a message, or you spoke to your phone. You told the AI agents to get you whatever you want, and there you go. So AI agents is a very powerful tool, and it was actually Daniel Priestley. He's a very intelligent entrepreneur and investor. He has multiple businesses across the globe, and he gave this very smart, very interesting analogy about the AI agents, where it's almost as if we had discovered this whole new continent um, on our planet, where there is billions and billions of people with PhDs and high IQs, and they can work 7 for 25 cents an hour. Right? It's amazing in that sense that we've created those immortal digital beings, and this is what Eric Schmidt said, again, Nobel Prize winner in physics, godfather of AI. That's what he said, that we've created those immortal beings who cannot be destroyed, and they will be always there. Not like human beings, unfortunately, we're not immortal, and they can multiply. That's another thing which Google is currently working on, is the teams of AIs, basically. So AI agents, sorry, they give them a task, or they give them some kind of objective to fulfill and go out there and do, and those AI agents, they work together, not just as a single unit, but multiple artificial entities, and they work together, and they work until they achieve that goal. So imagine what one AI agent can do And once you put the army of them, they can work, 100 times faster and 100 more times efficient in order to achieve the goal. Work on some kind of objective or problem or challenge, whether it's, creative or strategic or problem solving, whatever it is, they just, they just go out there and just do it. That's absolutely amazing, I think. Um, and yeah, I think we live in great times. It's just like that example with a hammer. Human beings created hammer to help us build houses, right? But the hammer can be also used for, killing someone or harming someone, right? So there are those pros and cons of everything, and we need to find that balance because it's not a hammer. It's something much more sophisticated, and we need to be very careful how we're going to use it in life because um, ours are at stake. Our health, our jobs, our economy, all of those are at stake. But most of all, the future of our children, I think. So we need to be very smart about what we're going to do in the future. I'm just talking here, right? Whatever you're going to do, all those information is up to you. Mission here is trying to give awareness to those people that are still not aware of what AI is, what it can do. So I urge you to go out there on the YouTube and you can you can search all of those people that I've mentioned, and you can see what they say, all the concerns and benefits of the AI and how they keep going on about how everyone should be getting adjusted and get to know AI from your own kind of point of view. Yeah, no, I think we live in the great times, but we also live in the very dangerous times. And AI can either help us um, enhancing our capabilities, become better people, better human beings for each other, but it can also harm us in many ways. But um, I think we need to believe in ourselves, and we need to make sure that we mm, I'm trying to find some kind of positive ending to this, and I think just need to be accountable for our actions. I think that's what I'm trying to say. We need to be accountable for our actions. We need to make sure that we are better people for ourselves, for our families, for our children, and we need to grow. We need to be able to swallow the knowledge on a daily basis, not just get stuck in front of the TV, but just actually go out there and see that big world that's around us. And these days we have huge access to all of that world at a flick of our fingers. Yeah, and I think that's what we need to do. So yeah, if I can ask you to do anything, is to subscribe to the channel, leave the thumbs up, and let me know in the comment section how did I do. I deeply believe that you need to be a disaster in order to become a master. Probably not the greatest speaker in the world, but hey, I'm learning just like everybody else. And I think that's very important. We learn our whole lives, and yeah, knowledge is power. So yeah, I urge you to find that power in knowledge. Uh, Thank you for watching, and I'll see you next time.